Welcome, everyone, and good afternoon. And this is our final concurrent session of the day, integrating math study skills and student collaboration into virtual and in-person courses. Our presenter today is Dr. Paul Nolting. Dr. Nolting has spent decades helping students improve their math learning skills and obtain better grades, having consulted with over 100 institutions and thousands of instructors worldwide to increase student success. His expertise is informed by his background ranging from undergraduate and graduate level instruction into directing a Title III program. If you have any questions for the presenter during the session, feel free to put those in the chat and we will make sure to get to those whenever we can. And on that note, I will hand it over to our presenter, Dr. Nolting.
Hey, thank you everybody for coming. It's late in the afternoon. And you're still here. That's good. And hello, Susan. I'll probably see you in a couple of weeks. What we're going to do is go ahead and share the screen. And I'll go ahead with the PowerPoint. There we go. I'll get this going. And then what we can do is we go through the PowerPoint area. You can just put questions into the chat, and there's a lot of questions on the same thing. It should work out very well. So let me get this thing. Looks like my, yeah, let's see what's going on now. There I go. Good. There we go. That works out pretty well. So, like I said, just go ahead and put the information in the chat, and then we can go from there. I'm pretty good at this answering questions. And if you have a really pertinent one, just go to Daisy and say, I want to ask one. So, and what we're going to do today is look at different variables to help students become more successful. And then look at some different areas that we've worked with on helping students. So some of you may have heard me before. I know Susan has. And what we're going to do is kind of work out some ideas with you too. I know Susan has ideas. So we're going to go ahead and start, and we can go on from there. You know, what was my motivation to teaching study skills? Well, I was teaching math classes and helping other people teach them and co-teaching different type of courses. And what happened is that even with all our good instruction, they didn't do well. So I actually did my dissertation on taking students who failed 1, 2, 3 times in elementary algebra. And from there, I went ahead and actually taught them math study skills as part of my dissertation. And yeah, let's go back to that one. And it worked. You know, it was the first one at University of South Florida. It was very successful. So a lot of things we have to look at in teaching math study skills. One is that it improves the success of students in their courses. 2, it basically teaches the students more self-confidence. 3, it actually does improve self-efficacy in math. And it actually looks at reasons why students weren't doing well in math and explains it to them in a point that they can change it. A lot of people say, I don't have the math gene. What we get into is you don't have the math study skills and it's not your fault. So that whole thing can go over and become more successful. So that's what we're doing. And when we start looking at this is like an overview of everything. It's basically lecture notes, classroom notes, testing notes, and all that information. So that works pretty well in helping out. And this is one thing I'm going to get into, how learning math is different. That's one thing you should talk to your students about immediately, how it's different and how it's different from other courses, how it's different from high school, and basically, you know, how it's different. And what we got to learn too is with the students, the collaboration is a major function, of course, of a MATIC, and it's a major function of getting them to cooperate with you. So you got to discuss this concept of how we're going to do it. And then the other one is, why are you taking math? And of course, most people say it's because I was told to take math. I go, yep, I guess so. But have you ever looked at the resources at the Career Center to see where the best jobs are? And they go, what do you mean? I said, well, we found something out a while ago that we can really talk about, is that more math, more money. That basically is it. And these are the charts that you can see. It's basically more math, more money, especially in the bachelorate degree areas. And what we're doing here is showing them that this is a motivational technique. And what we do is say, this is what you can make with your basic math course. This is what you can make with the higher level math courses. And other people go, yeah, wow, I want to make that big money. I said, well, more math, more money. That's it, except for math instructors. That's the sad thing. So that whole thing is different. So anyway, let's go from there to something else. Let's go, what are the skills needed to be successful in the courses compared to other disciplines? And this is something you can do. If you can put in the chat, right now, what are the areas, how's math different? How's it learning? What is the idea of being successful in math really mean? And what we're finding out is virtual learning is more difficult. And this is what I do. I actually happen to do a math problem. How much faster is basically math in college and high school? And it's about 4 times more as fast. And I worked with other people too on this, on looking at what we could do to help them become more successful. And what they're looking at is not only 4 times as fast as math as a foreign language, must demonstrate it, has more anxiety, and unfortunately, it's socially acceptable to not do well in math. I mean, that's a shameful thing, but that is. If you don't do well in English or history, they're going, what the heck's wrong with you? If you don't do well in math, well, that's okay. I understand you're not that good. Math, that's a hard subject. It really, really gets into me. Another thing too, if you're instructors, and most of you are, and Learning Resource Center, basically is vocabulary. Math has its own vocabulary. And what we suggest that people do is put vocabulary words on the test. And if you put it on the test, then they have to learn the vocabulary. If they learn the vocabulary, they usually know the problem and how to solve it. So the motivational aspect of this is getting them information so they understand what they're doing and understand how to change. And that's what we're going to do today. And you can take some of this and go right to your class and do it. Here's my famous chart, which I've had done several times, and I redid it because the new research is out. It used to be up here at the top. About 50% was cognitive entry skills and IQ and prerequisite math skills. That's not true anymore. States like California have totally outlawed placement tests. In Florida, where I used to work and do things, if you come in, you automatically go to intermediate algebra. I mean, it's something we have to share with the instructors and share basically with the students, because what happens is they're going, well, it's the instructor's responsibility to teach me. Less than 25%. That's what I tell them. And if you look at their responsibility in learning, it's between 25 and 41% of the variance of a grade is based on their skills, their learning, their motivation, their anxiety, their mindsets. All this stuff is great. All this stuff is great. And you have to show this to them to make sure they understand that they are part of it. And this is the power they have. They can basically improve their grades by becoming better learners and us teaching them how to become better learners. I have so much research on this, I didn't want to get into it, but this is different. And what we're finding out is that the whole idea of the self-efficacy, which you can see on the left-hand side, whole idea of online learning is the same thing. In fact, it's more important with that group. We have to help them become more successful in learning. And this is powerful information to them, because instead of them saying, well, I can't learn math, I can't do this, I can't do that. No. That's not it. And what we could do, we can actually look at the ways to do that. Now, there's a nationwide push to go especially into what we call requisites and become faster in math. Like I said, in California, you really don't have a placement test anymore. You go right into it. And I've worked with several colleges there, and sometimes it's pretty good. They can go right into stats or liberal arts or topics. In some colleges, if they're STEM, they go right into college algebra. And a couple of colleges I worked with, they go right into pre-calc. And that's scary. That's their co-requisite designs. So what we're finding out is that a lot of the learning is outside the classroom. We're finding out that the different pathways are very successful in some cases. Virtual learning is getting better, partly because we are better at technology and partly because we're teaching the students how to learn more virtually. The whole idea of self-directed learning, the motivation, the study skills, all these different areas, and the anxiety reduction, we're going to get into all this too. So what we have to do is make the student a better learner, a faster learner. That's basically the answer to this question. And you can do it. Now, some of you are going, how can I do this with everything else? Well, you can flip the classroom. You can spend 15 or 20 minutes a week talking about study skills. You can assign them study skills materials to read and come back and discuss. It all can be done. It all can be done. And my joke, if I was with you in person, is how many times you teach them the factor? You know, how many times you go over factoring? You know, is it one time, two times? I had one guy tell me that he would go over 8 to 10 times. And my response was, that's pretty good, but I think about after the third or fourth time, if they got it, they got it. If they didn't, they didn't. And take that time and teach them how to learn better outside the classroom. And he finally goes, you're right. I go, well, I'm not always right, but on this one, I am. Okay, let's look at this one. Why do you recommend as soon as possible to start to identify students who are struggling and help them with study skills? This is pretty good too, the same thing. Students must learn quickly. Now, if I had asked you, and if I had you to raise your hand right now, which you can't do literally, or, you know, after the first test, I make a 50 on the first test. What's the probability of me passing the course? And what you know, if you made a 50 in the first test, half of that was from the previous course. And what we're finding out is that we got to teach them how to become better learners as fast as possible before it's too late. And a lot of times, you know, right around midterm, we will start talking to them about this. And that's too late. I mean, in fact, the research is clear on when we're doing the study skills techniques and strategies, is that by around midterm, they should be done. You want to front load helping them learn so they can use it the rest of the time. You know, assessments. I was interviewed by the Chronicle of Higher Ed this last summer about the COVID and how it affect. And my quote was, they have a Swiss cheese background now. We don't know what they know. We don't know. And that also includes students coming in from high school. I don't know what they learned. I really don't, you know. And the idea is that we can help you become better learners, but first we got to teach you the study skills. But the other one is we have to assess you where you are. Where are you in math? And Hawks has a diagnostic system to do that. We used to use paper and pencil books, but if we can do that, we can pinpoint immediately and help them become more successful now. And when we give them the math study skills evaluation, it will tell them exactly what study skills strategies they need. And then they can go into the Winternet math text. And now we got it as an e-text. That's even better. They can just go right to the e-text and get this. And what I'm saying too, is what's happening is that's the study skills evaluation that most of them will fail. And we're so happy they fail. And you're going, what the heck is this guy talking about? I want them to fail the math study skills evaluation. I really do, because that tells me they don't have any math study skills, very little math study skills. And that's probably the main reason. And as soon as I point that out to them and say, this is probably the main reason you're not doing well, I go, you mean it's not the math gene? I go, I don't think it is. I mean, I think it's what happened. We didn't teach you how to learn. That's our fault. And what we're going to do is teach you how to become a better learner, to improve your learning and test taking skills and reduce your anxiety, and the idea is that we can give you exactly page numbers in the book to read. We can tell you exactly what you need to do. You don't have to wait. You can do it right now. Okay. Now, what Hawks did, which is really good, they have a multiple choice math study skills questions built into the system. Because I usually get the question is, how can we test them? I don't want to make up the test. Well, it's already built in. So once you teach the study skills, there's a series of test questions you can ask them and automatically get it back. That is so simple. That's unreal. Now, how does anxiety affect everybody? Oh boy, co-requisites, instructors. I get more calls now on, Nolting, can you come down and help us? Well, not come down anymore or go out to the west. It's, can you help us? Period. And the calls are coming from the instructors and the deans. Our instructors are having trouble. So the idea here again is, what can we do? Instructors that are anxious about the virtual ones. Instructors may portray anxiety to the students. They can pick up the body language. And what happens with anxiety is just not that they forget and don't do well on the test. They basically don't do the homework, or they don't go to the lab. They get into approach avoidance. So what we'll have to do is help them understand what the anxiety does to them and have an open discussion about this. And I really do, when I work with students, I'm going, anxiety does exist. I have some math instructors say, oh, it doesn't exist. I say, yeah, it doesn't exist for you, but it exists for a lot of people. And what it does, it kills what we call working memory. Working memory is your ability to pull things out from what we call long-term memory and abstract reasoning to solve the problems. When you're taking a test, you're in working memory. Anxiety kills that. You blank out, you walk out, and then you remember how to do the problems. That's typical. And sorry for my voice. I'm down in Florida and the allergies are here forever. So techniques, and you don't have to be a psychotherapist to do this. You just have to do it in the classroom. And do it virtually. I used to do it virtually too. Practice what we call tensing relaxing, where you put your feet flat on the floor and pull up the chair and tense everything up and relax it. Practice visualization of your happy place. I didn't think everybody had a happy place, but I've done this with thousands and thousands of people. Everybody has a happy place. Good. Well, practice visualizing that. So when you get ready to take the test, you visualize it. You're there, your mind's there, your body thinks you're there, and also you relax. And this management of self-talk, how do you talk about this? I actually have them write out positive self-statements and turn it in as a homework assignment. I want them to say what is positive about that. And then when we get into the this discussion of other like mindfulness, and the mindfulness is pretty neat. It's pretty much set up this way. One, where are you now? Oh, I didn't do well in math for the last 25,000 years. Okay, that's the past. What are you thinking now? I'll never do math. I'll never get through this. That's the future. But what can you do right now? What can you do right now, right now, right now? And a lot of it's study, learn strategies, techniques, practice relaxation techniques, and it works. So I'm not denying the anxiety. I'm not letting them dwell on it because they want to dwell on it sometime. Now, co-requisites, I had to put this in here. People keep asking about co-requisites, what's the best designs? Well, there are two good designs. One is the 3-hour course, 2-hour lab with remediation, tutoring, just-in-time learning, study skills. Remember I said study skills. The worst ones I've seen, and I've been called out on them and to go help the institutions, is they have like a 3-hour course and a 1-hour, 2-hour lab with computers. Now, if you do that, then you have to support. You got to have support within the computers. You can't just let them use the computers. You got to go around and teach them. I worked with some colleges that they were on the computers, but what will happen is we would break in the first part of every session and teach them study skills and learning strategies. That's pretty neat. The other one is this 5 to 6 hour course. I've worked with some other colleges on that one where it's one course. And what we're looking at is that the tutor support, same instructor, and sometimes in both of them, maybe not. And what this thing is, again, is this assessment area, what I'm talking about. And I mean assessing them, because the biggest fear that a lot of people have with the co-requisites, and still have, is we don't know what we have. So we have to assess them to figure out what we need to teach in the course and what we need to teach in the co-requisite. And Hawks is a good system to do that. They aggregate the data. So if everybody can't do dual equations, then I know what to do. You know, if everybody can't factor trinomials, I know what to do. Otherwise, I just guess. And what we do, we start with credit information, the credit course, and move on. The labs, again, materials, time management, study skills. That lab is it. But we know that if you just go and tutor them, it really doesn't work. Some of the labs will have mini lectures. Some of the labs, just in time. That works. And the last thing too, this is very important, because remember, we have a lot of people going to STEM because STEM means money and they like STEM. Of course, I like STEM. You all like STEM. The idea is I have students going into these college algebra classes that really should be in elementary algebra. And some colleges are now looking at the research on that and going, it's not working, but it's working for everybody else. And I'm going, yeah, you're right. It's too high. So we're going to have those students and figure out with assessment to help them in the lab the first several weeks before the first major test. And that really worked out well. Get them a learning resource center, help them out, have them become more successful. And that works, okay? Now, what are some other information we have in here? Excuse me. I like 10s. So what we're going to get into is note taking in a minute. And I tell the students, we're going to do note taking. And then they go, oh my goodness, note taking. I go, you know what? We're not doing note taking. We're going to teach you how to predict test questions and know the answers before you even go to the test. They go, oh, wow, I'll do that. I say, well, I'm thinking to myself, that's still note taking. This is what we do. Steps to doing your online homework. I'll get to that in a few minutes. It's basically looking at how we can become more successful. You know, reading the online textbook. Well, most people never read textbook. You know, a lot of people never buy the textbook, that sort of thing. But the idea is we have to help them understand what they really need. So when we get into the technology, how does the technology affect note-taking? Hey, man, I can go to Sonoset, which is an app. I can record everything. I mean, everything. And I can sync it to my computer. This is how this is getting today. And we need to talk about this, especially in the virtual classrooms. You know, Evernotes, voice recorders, smart pens, Sonoset, like I said, tutoring. And if you really want to know the best techniques, you go to your students with disability services, because they give them to the students all the time. They really do. And actually, I just did a workshop for all New England, of all the colleges and universities there, for how to improve the success of students with disabilities. One thing I look at is a note-taking system. We talked about that. Here we go. This note-taking system I have up here is either for online or classroom. And the idea is that you can't do it all at one time, but you got to get the examples in there. You got to get the keywords and ideas in there and explanations. Sometimes you'll work on this, then what will happen is you go ahead and fill it in later. And what happens is when we start looking at it, how do you predict test questions? You cover up those right two columns, which I'm doing right now. And what's distributive property? Tell me. What do you mean by adding like terms? What is an additive inverse? You know, things like that. And what happens if they can't tell you what it is, they can't use it. So the whole thing here, the technology is they need to record everything you have in there. I have some people now, even though they're actually back in classrooms, are still using Zoom, and they give it to everybody. So they can go back and review it. And they actually can go back and take it to their tutors and say, this is where I got stuck, show me how to do it. When I did a lot of tutor training, the things that tutors don't like is, I can't do this problem. Well, it's a dual equation. Well, I don't know how to do it. I don't know. No, I want you to start, show me where you got stuck, and then go to the tutor and do that. So that is very important for the virtual. The next one over here is the left is basically a system we have in the book that looks at how you learn, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learners. That tells me something, because if I want you to help memorize and learn things, or you can do it, say it to yourself, or you can write it down, you can close your eyes and see it. All that stuff really works. But this next thing over here is it. Computer-based note-taking. If you want to find out what the heck's going on with your students, ask them this one question. What do you do after you finish your computer note-taking system? You know, what do you do? And what I'm getting from most of them is, what do you mean what I do? I said, well, yeah, what do you do afterwards? Well, I'm done. I close it. Well, don't you take anything with you? Oh, no, I got them all right. I'm good. You're good. Yeah, but you made a 50 in that last test. What happened? You knew it then, but you didn't know it for the test. So what happened in between? Oh, I forgot it. Oh, yeah, you did. Well, how can you review before the test? And all of a sudden they dawn on it and I say, okay, you can use this note-taking system here for your homework. If you click twice, we got a problem, okay? You click twice, you got to write the problem in. You got to write the explanations and the keywords. That's what you review for the test. And I've had so many students that come back to me, and I've worked with other colleges the same way, saying, this worked. I'll go, yeah, it's like the old days when I went to school and we actually reviewed our notes. Okay, enough of that. So anyway, when we're looking at reading assignments and that information, that works too. But what we're looking at too is this, repeaters. Well, I can tell you the facts real quick. Susan already knows these. She's heard them for years from me. The more times you take an algebra class, the less chance you have to pass it. And that's true. You know that? And students who make C's in an algebra class, such as elementary or intermediate, have about a 75 to 80% failure rate in the next algebra class. We already know that. I mean, I used to do a lot of consulting, which I still do. And after about 15 or 20 colleges I worked with, I said, oh, this is a pattern. It took me that long? Oh boy. But the idea, this is a pattern. So with your repeaters or coming back, you got to help them do a plan. This is on the right-hand side is the success plan. Your intermediate algebra, what are you going to do? What's your learning preferences? What's your math study skills? What do we need to do? What do you plan on doing? And this person we worked with, they needed to do note-taking. They needed to do color coding. What are the motivational strategies? Make a point with the instructor. I will reward myself when I do well, all this. So this is repeaters. That's the one that gets us most. So now, here we go. And then we're going to open up for questions in a few minutes. How do you take a math test? Oh my goodness. What I would be doing with your students, virtual or in classroom, is actually do a pair share. But it's not a math problem. It's how do you take a math test? How do you really look at the math test and prepare for it? And then how do you take it? And most students I've worked with go, what do you mean? Well, what strategies do you use? Oh, I just start with the first problem and work through it. I said, what happens if you get confused on 2 or 3 problems? Oh, I freak out. What happens after that? I leave. And this is true, I've seen it. So the whole idea of this test-taking strategy is that I don't ever expect them to do 10 steps. Nobody does 10 steps, but it's a plan. It's a plan for them to get in there, because I had so many students that were very good in class and just couldn't show it on the test. So I'm gonna go through this plan. You have other plans that you can use too, but this is what you can teach the students. And before the first test probably would be a good idea, or you do the anxiety before the first test. But the first thing when they get the test, and I don't care if it's virtual or whatever, is memory data dump. Excuse me. What that means is you write down everything you think you're going to forget. All the formulas. I had people actually write down word problems, anything. And what you do is you practice that before. In the classroom, I say, okay, we're going to practice writing a memory data dump. What would you write down? And this is a 5-minute assignment at the end of class, when most of them aren't listening to me anyway. You got that? So but they'll listen to this. They'll go, oh, okay, let me see, what should we be writing down? I go, what did you miss on the homework? What confuses you? What can you write down so it immediately can help you? And they start writing them down. And then I say, hey, pair share time. They share with other people. And they go, oh, I should write that down too. I should write that down too. So what happens when they first get into the classroom, I have them do the relaxation techniques. And I say, okay, people, you can do relaxation techniques. It's not a problem. And get ready for the test. We see your blank sheets and they call it the blank sheets. I say, okay, we got that. Or you can do it on the back side of the test. And as soon as they get the test, they start writing stuff down. Then they preview the tests and look at it and go, how many questions, how much time I have. And then during the preview, they get what we call the second memory data dump, which is, I forgot about this. Yep, I got to write that down and write it down. And then test progress schedule is how much time you have per problem. And I have some students that have some real issues with that. They're gonna work this problem for 10 or 15 minutes. And I go, yeah, and what happens at the end? Oh, my anxiety went up and didn't finish the test. Okay, so how much time? You got 25 problems, you get about 2 minutes, maybe 3. And after that, you got to move on. Oh, well, then I won't go back. I said, no, your brain's still working on that thing. Your brain is still working. You have the aha response, you go back and you solve the problem. And then answer easy questions first. This is something that students don't get, but you're going to get it and show it to them. For most students, from 1 to 25, let's say, they get a little harder, but we don't know where their strengths are. So as I have them preview the test, I have them mark what questions they can do immediately without thinking, without doing anything. Like this, I can get it done right now. And when they start going back to the test, I don't have them go through it sequentially. I have them go through it based on the marks because I want the first 5 questions that they answer to be correct. And if I do this, it could be 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, you know, that sort of thing. And after doing that, it works. Then they get confident. Skip the difficult questions, of course, review skip questions, guess at remaining questions. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Students that basically don't guess. Now you're going, what is the probability of guessing a math question correct if it's not multiple choice? You ready? It's 1 over infinity. They're not going to get it. What happens if you put nothing down? Oh, you get a 0. So I'm facetious sometimes. I say, hey, if you're not going to put anything down, just put a 0 for me. Send me some time when I'm grading the test. And they go, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, then write something down. Well, I don't know what to write down. Then rewrite the problem. I have a lot of students that are kinesthetic. They will rewrite the problem. As they're rewriting it, they'll remember the next step and the next step. And I said, also, hey, maybe your instructor is grading the test at 2 o'clock in the morning. Saw that you tried and give you 1 or 2 points. But if you don't do anything, hey, it's simple, 0. So what happens is you then have to get to review all the tests and use all the test time. And what I talk to them about is this. Oh boy. Think about it. The last couple of tests you gave, the last 5 minutes of class, how many people were left in the room? About 5, maybe 3. They're all gone. And all the people left made A's, right? No, they didn't. So the idea is we have to bring this up. Some students believe that every student that turns their test in first, like the first 5 people turn their test in, all make A's. We know that's not true. And I tell them, I say, on my previous classes, this is the percentage. Well, I have 5 people turning it. Yeah, 3 made A's and 2 made F's. They go, what do you mean? I said, well, they just gave up. Oh, I thought that I don't want to be last to turn my test in. And we get into this discussion because in the past, if you turn your test in last, you were figured that you weren't that good. So, oh, look at the last 5 people that turned their test in. I got a bunch of B's and a couple D's and F's. So the idea is if you stay on it, and this is hard, if you stay on it and help the student to become more successful, with math, it's so great. You can go back and rework the problem. You can really figure out if you really know if you got it right or not when you leave. Where multiple choice, your first guess is your best guess, and don't change your first guess. And the next question is, why do people leave? And this is, I would just open this up for the class, you know, after your first test, and just open up, why do you think? And some of you can put it in the chat too. Why do you think they leave? Because we told them to stay and check, and they're going, oh, I don't know. Well, there's two reasons, and one of them I already mentioned. But the first reason is the anxiety gets so great, they can't stay there anymore and they leave. And I have people tell me that taking a test is like being in a burning house. I can't stay there, I got to run out. The second one is I had people actually count how many people were left in the classroom. You got that? Count it. And when it got down to 3 or 4, they turned their test paper in no matter what, because they're not going to be the last 2 or 3 people to turn the test in. So that whole thing, and the scratch paper thing, especially virtual, turn in and do it. Now the next one, and we'll get down to a couple more, is what happens when you get your test back. This is very powerful. You can be doing this in your classrooms. And this is part of the study skills is feedback. When you go to the doctor, they'll give you a blood test, urinalysis or something to try to figure out how to help you, okay? What most of my students do is when they get their test back, this is the test, they do this to it. Wad it up, throw it away. We're gonna stop that because I let them know that we're gonna review the test, but we're not just reviewing it for getting you the correct answers. We're reviewing it for systematic errors you've been making all your life that we can change. And I guarantee you by reviewing this, you get more points. So the first one is misread direction errors. X plus 2 times X plus 3. I have people solve for X. Well, there's no equation, there's no equal sign. And they go, oh, I didn't get it. I go, yeah. Do you have a lot of those? Yeah. Well, we got to figure out the terminology. That is now going back to vocabulary again. Careless errors. I just marked it down wrong. Didn't do it well. Okay. Can you work it right now? And they work it right now. I go, yep, careless error. If they can't work it right now, I go, concept error. And if there's a concept error, I have them keep a book of concept errors, you know, because those concept errors breed more concept errors. So the idea is basically look at them and review them for the next test. Application errors or word problems in graphing, you know, test procedure errors. I got stuck in a problem and stayed on it forever. Test procedure errors. I didn't review the test. Test procedure errors. I was running out of time, and I actually reviewed the test from the first question to the 20th or 25th question. My question is, well, where did you make your most errors in the last couple of tests? Oh, the last part of the test. Well, if it's the last part of the test, then start reviewing the last part of the test. Okay. Those are really good because then you go, oh, I can change my behaviors. Yeah. Study errors. I crammed. I didn't study the right materials. I didn't go over those notes from my note-taking system from the classroom or from the homework. This is it. You know, we can basically become more what we call math heroes and helping students become more successful. So this is very good. There are other variations of this out there, but this gives them power. And if they are making careless errors, and I have students who missed usually about 5 to 10 points on every test for careless errors, then they know that. And then so we got to do some relaxation. You got to review it. You got to check it. And you could almost get a letter grade higher. And they go, oh, I didn't know that. I go, yeah, that's from the analysis. And the concept errors, yeah, we got to get you to the math lab to go through that. So collaborate with students. So this is a good one. Ask students how we can work together. An app day. Oh my goodness, app day. And I know we got about 5 or 6 minutes left. That's a fun day. Bring in all your apps. Bring them all in and share them. Write them all down. Wow. Ask students what they would need to know the first part of the class. That's how you collaborate. You know, do surveys, do workshops, ask them what they want. Ownership, responsibility is assessment, but the idea is what we have is summative and formative assessment. Summative is the grades. Formative is how much did you study? What happened? I studied 3 hours and I made an A. Oh, that's good. Keep studying 3 hours. Oh, I studied 3 hours and made an F. Well, that's not good. You're gonna have to study more. short-term goals, time management, all this. This is how you collaborate, and you show them examples, and you tell them examples of students you worked with that were very successful. I worked with John and did this, and this, and John passed. I worked with Susie and I did this, and they did this and they passed. You know, all this. And a supplemental resource sheet, we'll get that in a minute. With the collaboration, it's not just you and everybody else. And I'll show it to you at the end. Basically, it's all the resources on campus on one sheet, including you giving it to them and writing down to the Learning Resource Center what they need. They cannot solve dual equations. That's what they need. You do that. Praise them. Oh my goodness. On the tests, praise them. Oh, you got this problem right. That's good. Don't just mark it, and don't use red. I've already talked to people. Red's bad. Use green or blue. That's what the students tell me. But praise them for the hard ones. You really worked on this problem a lot. It looks like you just almost got to keep working hard. You know, anything that's positive, anything is positive. And the whole idea is that. What activities? We got math study skills evaluation, 3-column note-taking system. We already talked about all these. Chapter review sheet, that sort of thing. You know, in the classroom, it's part of the classroom. It's part of the co-requisites. You flip the classroom. You have multiple choice questions already for you. You do little mini lectures, which you do anyway. That really works. And they listen. They really listen then, because that shows them success. Oh, this is a good one. They already have a study skills course. Yeah, the research and study skills course is very clear. It doesn't help math. I'll say it again, doesn't help math. General study skills did not help math. You got that? It has to be math study skills, and it's different. And they go, what is it different about? Well, you know, how you check your test, how you do the test, that sort of thing. How you can sell your administration on this one. Hey, there's a couple of things. More people pass math. That's a great thing. And they're going, well, they're just passing math. I go, no. They're taking other courses after that. And they go, what do you mean? I say, look, well, the research is clear. You failed math 2 times. You're gone. If I help you get through math a second time, you stay and get more FTEs. Math touches everybody. Students pass math, they take other courses. That's what I'm saying here. Improve STEM. Oh boy, this is all good. You know, and again, at the bottom, I'm going to mention it. I mentioned it again, to depends on who I'm talking to. I talked to a president, and he said, oh, we can afford to not have 600 people not pass math. I go, well, yeah, that's 3-hour class, right? 600 3-hour class. Did you figure out the other classes are not going to take? He said, no. So it's quick. They're not going to take the full load. You just lost $3 million. And he turned around to the department chair and said, how much money do you need? I need 50,000. Okay, come on back. I'll give it to you. I mean, this is it. Of course, the Winning Math text, this is like the 7th edition. Boy, it works. I have all the research on it. There are activities for learning. The co-requisites courses use it. It's not, like I said, an e-text. It helps them. They can actually take the math study skills evaluation, like I said earlier, which is very powerful. And then they can go right into the page numbers in the book. They don't have to wait for you to get there. And you can assign it as you go. You can talk to them, ask them what they really want. And if they say, well, I need stuff in test taking, well, you do that first. I mean, it really works well. Last thing I'm going to talk about, then we open up for a few minutes for questions. National Math Summit. Oh my goodness. It's again, it was happening again. I started this many years ago, and it's still going to be the pre-conference for NAID, which is now NOS, in Atlanta. You can still go there. You can still register for it. We'll have all the top people in the country presenting, just like we've done before. Some of you have already been to it. I will personally, if you go there and said, Nolting, I was in your Hawks webinar, I'll introduce you to the top people in the country. I mean, that's just basically it. So what I'm going to do now is we probably got about 5 or 6 minutes left. I can keep talking, even though I'm a little hoarse, but it's still working. What questions you have? I went through it pretty fast. What I really want to know is, what other suggestions do you have? Okay. What other suggestions do you have that you can use to help students become successful? And we'll just open it up, and you can just read off the chats.
Feel free to interact in the chat with any questions that you have for Dr. Nolting. We have a little bit of time left. So if you have anything, please feel free to throw it in there. We'd love to answer anything you have.
Yeah, or just unmute yourself and just ask me. Because I get all type of questions. Some of them I can answer, some of them I can't. But you are the variable that improves student success. You are that variable. And like I said earlier, the study skills is the missing ingredient, because we have to have a team approach to help students become better learners, period. And I have people go, no, I can't do it, too much time. I'm going, well, how's your pass rate? Oh, we got 45% pass rate. Well, how long have you been doing this? Oh, about 10 years. I think we may want to try something different. You know, I mean, I can plot that out real easy. It's still going to continue. And they go, well, I don't want to get my time up. Well, you can help them learn outside the classroom, like flipping it, and then come back and talk about study skills and test taking and apps. Oh, apps. Oh, that's funny. I have people who give me so many apps, and we share them with everybody. Okay, I'm going to kind of be quiet. A couple of people I know have something to say. Of course, if you don't say anything, I will.
It's in the chat.
Yeah, it looks like there's some questions in the chat here.
Oh,
I see one is, can I see the slide before the graduation slide, please?
Which one? For the graduation slide, tell me when to stop. This one here?
I believe it's this one. Am I correct? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, we didn't believe we could put study skills in the classrooms, and we started doing it, and it did work. Not only it worked, the students came to class more often. Follow me? We had, how can I say this? When I was doing the Title III grant, part of it is how do you improve math success? Well, immediately we figured it out. We can't have these repeaters. The repeaters are killing our pass rates, because it's 50% the first time, 33% the second time, 25% the third time if they're around. So we actually develop a course just for repeaters and just for students with disabilities. It had a higher pass rate than the regular classes because we integrated the study skills. We discussed different strategies and techniques to do the tests. We gave them other resources. We actually did collaborative learning and manipulatives in some of the lower level classes. So you can integrate this into the lab or mini lectures. And some of the students are going, I don't know about math. They come and you get into a mini lecture and said, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to beat the math test. I go, what? I said, well, no one's math instructor ever told me that. Well, I am. I'm gonna teach you how to beat the math test and make the best grade you can. And all of a sudden their ears go up and they're going, oh my goodness, you really do care. I go, yeah, I do. I care, but you got to care too. And part of it's your job. How about another question?
Dr.
One of these
Nolting?
here. Oh, so go ahead, Gloria.
Okay, thank you. I was going to ask, are there any plans for you to integrate or create some type of video study skills that are kind of reflective of your e-text? Only because, and it might be that some of us might be doing the study skills just incorrectly. Like if I know Hawks Learning has a set of academic study skills, and there's a homework set reflective of that. So they
That's
have
a good idea.
They have an article about it, and then they have a homework set. But then I don't elaborate anymore on that. It's part of their homework, and it's assigned, and they have to complete that. But I'm wondering if maybe, I feel like maybe if there's a video to complement that, maybe that would help.
Yeah, what you don't know is about 10 years ago, I did 3 videos. One on test taking, one on anxiety, and one on note taking. Old-fashioned videos They're not that good, okay? But what we have to do, and that's right, you can blend this in to your course, give them assignments. I mean, hey, here's an assignment. I want you to come back. We talked about the 10 steps for taking the test. I want you to come back and give me 5. That's part of your homework assignment. And not only that, I want you two to talk about it. In other words, pair share and see things. Yeah. Also, I actually had people who, and I'm going to tell you up front that this showed my slides. I remember being at a math conference, a MATIC, and the lady said, "Oh, your stuff doesn't work." Well, what do you mean? Well, I just showed them the slides. I said, "What else did you do?" I just showed them the slides. I said, "Now think about that. If I just did PowerPoint slides or showed them how to work math problems and not have them practice, what would happen? Oh, they'd fail." Oh, really? Then she got it.
I think maybe some of the faculty, the math faculty, would benefit from training on how to. I mean, because we were math majors, we knew how to do the math. It just it wasn't so difficult, and so maybe
Yes.
we need a little training on how to teach them how to, the study skills. Maybe I
Gloria,
don't know.
you're totally correct. And I'll go even one step. I actually measured the ability of some of my math instructors at my college. Abstract reasoning is the #1 best skill to pass math. Got that? Abstract reasoning. They're 125, 130, 130. They're gifted in abstract reading. Some are so gifted they don't even need to go to class. They can figure it out. And it's hard for them to say what you said, that they actually have to study. Well, how can I teach them how to study if I didn't need to study? I said, that's a good question. Well, you give them the math study skills evaluation that's basically in the Hawks program, and there's no math on it. And immediately it'll tell you which areas they need to study and learn math. And you can do this as the point of what you need help in. Well, most people's note taking, test taking, that sort of thing. But then it's remembering the information for the test, mnemonics, acronyms. We get into all of that, but you're right. Yeah, it's so easy. And when I hired my tutors, the best tutors, I had good tutors that were in calculus 1, 2, okay? But the ones that I really wanted is the ones who failed intermediate and elementary, and then went on and become successful. And I had a bunch of them. I had a lab only for students that were repeating math classes. And that was a study coach. That was half the time tutoring and half the time teaching them study skills. Very successful, but you're right. Any other comments on that?
It does look like we are running out of time here, but I do see there are a few other questions that we didn't quite get to yet, but it does look like overall we did catch most of them, but if not, I'm sure Dr. Nolting, there should be a way to contact you. If not, you can contact us and we can get in contact with Dr. Nolting for you.
What we could do, I mean, if you have who they are, who's actually in this presentation, one, you can ask Susan again, okay, because she knows this stuff really well. But if you send me the questions, I will answer them and send them back to you, and then you can distribute them. That's what we did a couple of times. And maybe not this workshop, but I did other workshops across the country. But I really want to help you understand that when you start teaching the study skills, it generalizes. In fact, the other research I did, because my PhD is in instruction and curriculum, they wanted me to do stats. It took me another year. I said, no, okay. But the idea here is we found out that math study skills helps other classes, okay? But general study skills doesn't help STEM. I have some people putting the study skills actually into freshman seminars. Math study skills, not general studies. Well, both of them. In fact, the last course I taught before I retired was for students who've pretty much failed math at Hillsborough Community College, which is Tampa. And I was a study skills class because I was gone all the time. I could only teach one night a week. And we already know the research in 1 hour a week classes, they fail. Okay. And we got in there and we taught them how to learn, become successful. Students with disabilities did better. All students did better. And a few of them actually started liking math. I kind of laugh at that one because most of them tell me, oh, it's terrible. I said, well, yeah, I don't know. How much money you want to make? And that's how I cut that off real quick. And they go, a lot. Well, let's take a look. Oh, you got to have calc. Okay. So anyway, yes, whatever you want to do, we'll do. And I appreciate you at the end of the day, listen to my hoarse voice, okay? And your comments you made. You're all great.
We do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to present to us. It was wonderful content. I know a lot of us will be able to take everything you said and apply it in our classrooms. But like I said, we are out of time, unfortunately.
Okay.
And this does conclude the final concurrent session of the day and our conference. But on behalf of everyone here at Hawks Learning, thank you to our presenters, our attendees, and everything for being a part of IES 2022. Recordings of this year's sessions will be provided in the coming days, so definitely be on the lookout for that. I am going to paste a quick survey here for all of you. If you have time, we would love for you to take a minute to send us your feedback and let us know of your experience here at IES. And if you haven't already, please make sure to visit our Hawks booth and say hello to the Hawks team and view a quick 5-minute demonstration and be entered to win the hourly giveaway, your choice of a 6-month subscription to Audible, 1-year subscription to Disney Plus, or a $100 Amazon gift card. The booth will remain open until 6 p.m. So if you haven't had time, feel free to jump in there. And again, thank you for joining us for IES 2022, and we hope to see you again here next year.
And Hawks, thank you.
Of course, thank you, Dr. Nolting.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day and have a wonderful weekend.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.